Secretary General of Hezbollah Party, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, stresses on the holy occasion of Ashura that resistance will defend Syria against the regional Takfiri attacks targeting it. In a joint press conference with his Egyptian counterpart, Lavrov stresses the importance of finding a political solution to the crisis in Syria through the Geneva Conference. The Syrian Arab Army continues to make considerable progress in different areas, killing dozens of terrorists. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Yirado Krikorian from the News Center in Damascus. Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah has said Syria has embraced and supported the resistance in all its stages. We support Syrian dialogue and political action to solve the crisis there, he added. In his speech marking the religious Ashura Day, Nasrallah said the presence of the resistance on the Syrian land aims at defending Lebanon and the Palestinian cause in the face of the international regional Takfiri assault on Syria and the region. We will continue to be in Syria as long as this assault is there, Nasrallah affirmed. Hezbollah Secretary General said the resistance is ready with all its potentials and weapons to protect Lebanon and its fortunes and will continue to confront the Israeli threat. He pointed out that the resistance rejected all projects of partition, asserting the need for each country to preserve its territorial integrity and to wisely address its internal problems through dialogue and political solutions. Russia and Egypt have affirmed the importance of holding the Geneva II conference, rejecting military action and the attempt to use the humanitarian issues in Syria for the sake of bringing back foreign intervention. In a joint press conference, both countries expressed their intention to develop high levels of bilateral and military cooperation. In a press conference with his Egyptian counterpart Nabil Fahmy in Cairo, Lavrov said several Middle Eastern issues were discussed, particularly those related to the crisis in Syria. He added that common ideas were exchanged and the call for the Geneva II conference to solve the Syrian crisis through dialogue among all parties under the auspices of the international community and with its support. We know Egypt's role and activity for bringing about a peaceful settlement to the crisis in Syria, Lavrov said, adding that Russia and Egypt shared a joint positive assessment of the work carried out within the framework of eliminating the chemical weapons in Syria and implementing the UN program in this regard. Lavrov voiced his country's interest in seeing Egypt a stable state in the region on the basis of non-intervention and respect for the Egyptians' right to self-determination. On his part, the Egyptian foreign minister approved his Russian counterpart's viewpoints. He stressed Egypt's rejection of militarizing the Syrian issue and of foreign intervention in the country. A military source in Daraa countryside pointed out that a Syrian Arab army unit set up an ambush for 20 terrorists, the majority of foreign nationalities, near the national forest between Tzil and Noa, killing all of them, including Saudi terrorist Hassan Salim al-Saudi, and confiscating their weapons and ammunitions. In Damascus, a police source said that 3 citizens were killed and 22 others wounded following terrorist attacks by 2 explosive devices in Mardambeik Street and Al-Kallasa neighborhood in Damascus. Syrian Arab Army gained full control on the city of Hujayra in Damascus countryside following a successful operation during which several tunnels used for smuggling weapons and ammunition were discovered. The army also captured dozens of terrorists affiliated with al-Nusra Front and al-Islam Brigade.
A few days after restoring stability and security to Al-Sbaina town, the Syrian Arab Army gained full control of the adjacent Al-Hujayra town as army units continued to chase remnants of terrorists, inflicting upon them heavy losses. A military commander has said following the operation, the army discovered Al-Qaeda black flags and several tunnels used by terrorists to smuggle arms and ammunition. He added that the army captured more than 40 terrorists who belonged to the terrorist al-Nusra Front. He pointed out that the army dismantled dozens of explosive devices planted by the terrorists in different streets and alleys. The Syrian TV reporter said that the armed groups wreaked havoc on public properties, including the schools, which were turned into bases for launching rockets and mortar shells.
In Barzeh, the Syrian Arab Army continues its operations inside the town with more determination to restore stability and peace to it. A military commander pointed out that a number of building blocks used for targeting civilians were cleared of terrorists, as army units discovered a number of tunnels and dens used by gunmen to smuggle arms and move from one area into another. Our TV correspondent said the army discovered a new tunnel equipped with cameras and electric devices. It is 5 meters high that big trucks can pass through it. The Syrian Arab Army has tightened control on the Jabal Mheen mountain, eliminating all the members of a terrorist group. Another army unit destroyed 3 vehicles loaded with ammunition and weapons in the surroundings of Mheen. The army also intercepted 2 terrorist groups who tried to infiltrate from Al-Ghasibiyeh to Al-Dwair village and from Al-Wa'ar farms in the direction of Al-Qarabis. The army killed and wounded the terrorists and destroyed 2 vehicles that were provided with machine guns and a bulldozer. Other army units eliminated terrorist gatherings in Al-Khalidiyeh, Khalij, Kisin and Al-Hadath, destroying 3 terrorist vehicles. In the city of Homs, all the members of a terrorist group were killed near Shamsi Pasha Mosque in Al-Qusur, Babhoud and Al-Warsha neighborhoods. Prime Minister Wael al-Halaqi has affirmed the solid political and historical relations between Syria and Russia, which have spared the region the danger of wars and restored balance to international political relations. Receiving the Russian ambassador to Damascus, Mr. Azamatullah Kol Muhammadov, and Dr. Gia Koteshtel, the deputy chairman of the Russian Soyuz oil company, Dr. al-Halaqi, said the growing strategic political relations between the 2 friendly countries should be coupled with the expansion of the economic, trade and industrial relations between them. The Russian ambassador, on his part, expressed the Russian people's and leadership's confidence that the Syrian people are capable of confronting all challenges and will come out of the current crisis victorious. The Minister of Culture held a meeting with members of Parliament representing Damascus and Al-Raqqa governorates to discuss the efforts exerted to protect the archaeological heritage in Syria. Minister of Culture, Dr. Lubana Mshawih, stressed that all efforts are being coordinated with government and civil activities to protect the rich archaeological heritage from destruction and theft by the armed terrorist groups. For their part, Al-Raqqa Assembly members pointed out that the civil society in the governorate should double efforts to protect archaeological sites from the armed gangs who seek to destroy Syria's ancient civilization. The appreciation of the Syrian Arab Army's big efforts and sacrifices, the Revolution's Youth Union Damascus branch has organized a blood donation campaign. A group of students say the campaign is an indication of our people's great love and glorification of our heroic army who is defending the country and Arabism. They stress determination to rebuild what the terrorists have destroyed and to continue to be strong in the face of all hostile schemes. childhood media during the crisis and children's psychological and social characteristics and the impact of the media on them were the main topics discussed on the final day of the first National Childhood Media Forum. The participants underlined the importance of mastering the skills of communication with children, particularly during crisis, referring to the media role in shedding light on issues related to education and culture to ensure better communication with children. Now over to latest business and market news, but after a short break, stay tuned.